Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Pro Football. My name is Michael Carlisle. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. We will look back at Week 12 in the National Football League. We'll get you ready for the Monday night game, plus the latest news, notes, and more. Let's start on Thursday, Thanksgiving. We had 3 games. We started the day in Detroit. The Lions at home were playing host to the Chicago Bears, and Cairo Santos made a 28-yard game-ending field goal to give the Bears a 16-14 win over the still winless Lions. This was an ugly game, and it had to be hard for fans to eat their turkey while watching this. Lions made mistakes early. They made mistakes late. They extend their winless streak to 15 games since beating the Bears on the road almost a year ago. Detroit had 10 penalties, including 3 in a row when they were at midfield that ended their chance to score on their last possession. Andy Dalton, starting in place of injured rookie Justin Fields, led the Bears on an 18-play, 69-yard drive that took the final 8 minutes, 30 seconds off the clock. Chicago snaps a 5-game losing skid. They're now 4-7. The Lions are 0-10-1. The Raiders were on the road. They were at the Dallas Cowboys. Derek Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders got third down help when they needed it. They got it from Dallas corner Anthony Brown, and Daniel Carlson kicked a 29-yard field goal in overtime after Brown's 4th pass interference penalty kept the drive alive. Raiders into 3-game losing streak. They beat the Cowboys 36-33. Carlson's 5th field goal of the day came after Brown was called for interference on Zay Jones on 3rd and 18. All 4 of Brown's pass interference penalties came on third down incompletions. Both teams had a season high in penalties and penalty yards. Dallas, the NFL leader in penalty yards coming in, they had 14 penalties for a franchise record 166 yards. Vegas was penalized 14 times for 110 yards. Derek Carr on the day, 24-39, 373 yards and a touchdown. Dak Prescott had 209 of his 375 passing yards in the fourth quarter to force overtime, but the Raiders get the win. Las Vegas now 6-5. The Cowboys are 7-4. We wrapped up the Thanksgiving games in New Orleans Thursday night as the Saints played host to the Bills. Josh Allen threw for 260 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the Bills throttled New Orleans' shorthanded offense. 31-6 was the final in this one. That sent the injury-ravaged Saints to their 4th straight loss. Dawson Knox caught 2 early touchdown passes to give him a franchise-best 7 in a single season by a tight end. Buffalo outgained New Orleans 361-190, and the Bills possessed the ball for 34 minutes, 38 seconds to the Saints' 35.5 minutes. Buffalo now 7-4. The Saints, they're headed in the wrong direction. They're 5-6. On to the early games on Sunday. We'll start in Cincinnati. The Bengals were 3.5-point favorites at home against the Steelers, and they made it look easy. Joe Mixon ran for a career-high 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow scrambled for a score, threw for another as the Bengals crushed the Steelers 41-10. They sweep the season series for the first time since 2009. Burrow was 20 of 24 for 190 yards. Cincy is now 7-4 on the year. Steelers are winless in their last 3 games. They dropped to 5-1. The Indianapolis Colts were at home playing host to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Leonard Fournette capped a 4-touchdown game with a 28-yard scoring run with 20 seconds left to give the Buccaneers a 38-31 come-from-behind win at Indianapolis. Tom Brady led the Buccaneers on an 8-play, 75-yard drive to break the tie late after getting the ball back with 3:29 to go. Fournette ran 17 times for 100 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. He also caught a touchdown pass. Tampa Bay is now 8-3. The Colts fall to 6-6. The Miami Dolphins, dare I say the surging Miami Dolphins, were at home to the Carolina Panthers. Tua Tagovailoa was nearly flawless. Cam Newton had arguably the worst day of his career. Jalen Waddle had 9 catches for a season-high 137 yards and a touchdown, and the Dolphins feasted off of 5 sacks and 3 interceptions on their way to beating Carolina 33-10. The quarterback play was completely one-sided in this one. Tagovailoa was 27 of 31 for 230 yards and a score. Newton was pulled in the fourth quarter after completing just 5 of 21 passes. Panthers have now lost for the 7th time in their last 9 games. They're 5-7. Dolphins, meanwhile, have won 4 in a row. They are 5-7. The New England Patriots were at home against the Tennessee Titans. The Patriots were a 5.5-point favorite in this one. Mac Jones threw a pair of touchdown passes. New England's defense forced 4 turnovers, and the Patriots picked up their 6th straight win. They cruised past the Titans 36-13. The win snapped New England's 2-game losing skid against the Titans. Patriots hadn't beaten Tennessee since former Patriots linebacker Mike Vrabel took over as head coach in Tennessee in 2018. Mac Jones, 23 of 32 on the day, 310 yards. Kendrick Bourne had both of the Patriots' touchdown receptions. He finished with 5 catches for 61 yards. Patriots now 8-4. They're also, by the way, 6-1 against AFC opponents on the season. The loss drops the Titans to 8-4. New York Giants were at home. They were underdogs at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Giants defense, though, they intercepted Jalen Hurts 3 times, and they hold Philadelphia to a season low in points as they beat the error-prone Eagles 13-7. Daniel Jones hit Philadelphia native Chris Myrak with a 1-yard touchdown score, and Graham Gano kicked field goals of 35 and 39 yards, and the Giants ended the Eagles' 2-game win streak. Philly committed 4 turnovers in the loss. They slipped to 5-7. The Giants improved to 4-7. The Jacksonville Jaguars were at home against the Atlanta Falcons, and Cordero Patterson scored twice in his return from an ankle injury. The Falcons win for the first time in 3 weeks. 21-14 was the final over the Jags. Falcons led 14-0, then 21-3 on Matt Ryan TD passes to Russell Gage. But the Jags claw their way back into this one late. Trevor Lawrence found Tavon Austin for a score. He connects with James O'Shaughnessy for a 2-point conversion. Matt Ryan added a 34-yard field goal in the fourth quarter to make it a 1-score game. Jacksonville did force a punt. They get the ball back with 2:14 remaining, but Lawrence threw an incompletion on 4 straight downs. Falcons hang on. They're now 5-6. The Jaguars, they are still bad. They drop to 2-9. Houston Texans, speaking of bad, the Texans were at home playing host to the Jets. Somebody had to win this one. Zach Wilson threw for 145 yards. He ran for a touchdown in his return from that sprained right knee. He helps the Jets rally for the 21-14 win over the Texans and snap a 3-game losing skid. We're probably all better off not spending a lot of time on this game. Let's just end it with this. Jets now 3-8. The loss drops the Titans to 2-9. On to Sunday's late games. We start in Denver with the Broncos hosting the Chargers. Rookie Patrick Surtain, the second, picked off Justin Herbert twice. He returns the second one 70 yards for a touchdown. That sparks the Broncos to a 28-7 win over the Chargers. Surtain's first interception came in the end zone on a pass intended for Jared Cook early in the fourth quarter. His second one came off the hands of Austin Eckler, who watched as Surtain sprinted down the sideline for the score. Broncos now 6-5. And this win sets up an AFC West showdown next weekend in Kansas City and a matchup with the Chiefs. That game had already been flexed to Sunday night, so that'll be interesting all of a sudden. Chargers, meanwhile, they dropped to 6-5. The Rams were on the road. They were visiting Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers threw 2 touchdown passes. He also ran for a score as the Packers get the win 36-28 over the Rams. Rodgers did all that with the broken toe. He goes 28-45, 307 yards. Not bad for somebody who didn't practice all week. Rams outscored the Packers 11-0 in the fourth quarter, but the comeback attempt ended when they couldn't recover an onside kick with 17 seconds left. Rams have now lost 3 straight. They're 7-4. The win improves the Packers to 9-3. Minnesota Vikings were visiting the San Francisco 49ers. Deebo Samuel ran for 2 touchdowns before leaving with an injury. Elijah Mitchell ran for 133 yards and a score. The Niners get the win 34-26 over the Vikings. This was an entertaining game. There were 6 scores in the third quarter alone. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 230 yards and a touchdown. The Niners are now 6-5. Vikings dropped to 5-6. The Sunday night game in Baltimore, the Ravens playing host to the Cleveland Browns, and neither team's probably going to put much of this game on their highlight reels at the end of the year. Lamar Jackson threw a career-high 4 interceptions in a mistake-filled game for both teams. Jackson, though, he does just enough to help the Ravens get the 16-10 win over the Browns. Cleveland, they entered the game with the number 1 ranked rushing attack in the league. They couldn't get it going against Baltimore's defensive front. Nick Chubb ran for 16 yards on 8 carries. Kareem Hunt had 20 yards on 7 attempts. Jackson finished 20 of 32 for 165 yards and a touchdown to go with the 4 picks. He also ran for 68 yards. Ravens are 8-3 now. The Browns are 6-6. We'll wrap up Week 12 in the National Football League Monday night in our nation's capital. The Washington football team, a slight favorite at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks offense has scored just 13 points in 2 games since Russell Wilson returned. Washington's tightened up on defense the last couple of weeks. They're allowing just 20 points per game over that span. Washington is 4-1 when they have less than 2 turnovers in a game. I like Washington to squeak out a close one here. Give me the football team. All right, let's take a look at the standings headed into the Monday night game. We'll start in the AFC and in the East. The New England Patriots, 8-4. They sit atop the division. Behind them, the Buffalo Bills at 7-4. The Dolphins are 5-7. The Jets are 3-8. In the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens at 8-3 lead the division. The Bengals are 7-4. Browns 6-6. And the Steelers 5-1. The AFC South, the Tennessee Titans are 8-4. The Colts are now 6-6. Texans and the Jaguars each 2-9. And in the AFC West, the Chiefs are 7-4. That's followed by the Broncos and the Chargers, both 6-5. And for good measure, we'll throw the Raiders in there as well. They are also 6-5. In the NFC and the East, the Cowboys at 7-4 sit atop the division. The Eagles are 5-7. Washington 4-6 headed into Monday night. The Giants are 4-7. The Green Bay Packers sit atop the NFC North. They're 9-3. The Vikings are 5-6. Bears 4-7. The Lions still winless. They are 0-10-1. In the NFC South, Tampa Bay at 8-3 are your leaders. The Falcons and Saints each 5-6. The Panthers are 5-7. And in the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals, best record in the league, they are 9-2. The Rams 7-4. The Niners 6-5. The Seahawks are 3-7. Take a look at some news and notes from Week 12 in the NFL. Josh Allen threw 4 touchdown passes against the Saints on Thanksgiving. It was his 6th career game with 4 or more touchdown passes. All have come in the last 2 seasons. Since 2020, only Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers have more games with 4 or more touchdown passes than Josh Allen. The Cowboys had 110 penalty yards on 3rd down alone in their Thanksgiving loss. That's the most by any team on 3rd down in any game since at least 1991. Second most on that list, 106 yards by, wait for it, the Cowboys, also on Thanksgiving. That was back in 1998 in a loss to the Vikings. A silver lining for the Cowboys coming out of that Thanksgiving loss to the Raiders. With his overtime sack of Derek Carr, Micah Parsons reached 9 sacks on the season. That breaks DeMarcus Ware's franchise record for a rookie. Josh Burrow threw his 10th touchdown pass of 30 yards or more this season when he connected with T. Higgins for a 32-yard strike. 10 passes this season of 30 or more yards for touchdowns. That's the most in the first 11 games of a season for a quarterback 24 or younger since Johnny Unitas in 1957. The Indianapolis Colts, they had 5 turnovers in their loss on Sunday to the Buccaneers. They only had 10 turnovers on the season coming into this one. Cam Newton, as we mentioned earlier, benched in the 4th quarter of the Panthers' loss against the Dolphins. He completed just 5 of 21 passes, 92 yards, and a pair of interceptions. Newton's 23.8 completion percentage, the lowest by a quarterback in a game, with a minimum of 20 pass attempts since Joey Harrington back in 2004. All of a sudden, the Miami Dolphins have won 4 in a row. They're 5-7. They've got a lot of work to do, but if you look at the schedule, the next 3 weeks, they're home to the Giants, then they're on their bye, and then they're home to the Jets. If that doesn't sound like a clear path to 500, I don't know what does. As we told you earlier, the Bengals sweep the season series against the Steelers for the first time since 2009. Going back to last season, Cincinnati has now won 3 straight games over Pittsburgh. All 3 of those wins were by double digits. Most games with a 100-plus passer rating among the first-round quarterbacks from the 2021 draft. Mac Jones has done it 6 times already this season. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields, they've all combined for none. Speaking of the Patriots, in their last 6 games, they are 6-0. They're scoring 35.2 points per game while allowing just 10.5 points per game. They've turned the ball over just 4 times. They've forced 17 takeaways. Deebo Samuel became the third player in NFL history with 1,000 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns in the same season. He joins Marshall Faulk and Roger Craig as the only players to do that. Rob Gronkowski recorded his 30th career game